So hey, this is Joe Pickup with SoMuchMonsters.com. I'm going to show you guys how to set up a multi-material Mudbox paint session. So I've got a model here. I've got a little dragon, little baby dragon, who I lovingly call Pookie. It has two models, two meshes, one for one UV set, which has its own textures, and one for another. You'll see here the body has UVs set up in one single UV square. Take a peek here. There you go, there's one UV set, and then the tail and wings have one UV set. This is done for a pretty big character, so pretty seriously large critter. So we've got those two UV sets. We'll collapse it down, select everything in the scene that we want to export, just go File, Export, Export Selected, and we're just going to save out an FBX. If you just use the default Autodesk settings, Mudbox will pick it up just fine. Just go straight in there, grab that test from our export folder, and now we've got our big old dragon in Mudbox. You'll see he's got two texture sets. When I change this, you'll see the body changes, the tail does not. This is great. It's pretty simple to set up this way. So the first thing we want to do is go into the layers. We'll say new layer. And we want to tell it what size and type of texture. We're going to make diffuse, obviously. So there's our first set. We have a paint layer now. And now when we go back and edit our paint layer, edit our material, we'll go right click on our model, say edit material, just on the mesh that we want to edit. You see the body has no diffuse channel to click on. Here we have a click box. We can actually open up a file. So I'm going to grab my diffuse texture, which is going to be this grayscale occlusion render. So we'll select it. This is going to set it below any of our paint layers, so we won't edit this particular one. That's why I like to do it through here. When we set it on there, it won't be editable, and so any new data we have is just in a PSD. So now we want to go, and if we right click and click on our model, so just right click on the model, and in that hot box, don't click anything, you'll see the material will change on the right there from the old one to the new one. So we'll build the same new diffuse as we did the first time, and click on that checkbox when we go in the edit material panel and navigate down to our occlusion render. So we've got two grayscale textures that we can work with. From here we can actually import a new layer, and you'll see this time I'm going to grab the normal map for my body, and I will set it to normal in the dialog that pops up. There's a bunch of different types you can use. So we have a normal map pop in. I'm going to go to my second material, which will be for the tail and wings again. And first we'll set the map type for our normals, but now you can see there's no normal map on this one. So right click just to click it, open it, assign it in the same way. So we'll do the caret import layer, make sure we set it as a normal map, and now my whole character has normals. Gotta make sure we're setting to the right object space. Compatibility is Maya on this particular model. You gotta get both of them set to that. That will be per where you rendered. I rendered this in Maya. Maybe. Did I render it in Maya? Well, it's rendered, and it looks right in the Maya settings. So, alright, so now one of the great reasons to use Mudbox is that you can actually paint across materials and not actually worry. So I'll set the specular in the same way I did the normals. Just import layer, select the specular, tell it to be a specular map, and say okay. You can do that with any of the other material types or texture types that you can see in that menu. Do it for both body types or body pieces. And now it's important when you start painting that you select the right channels per material. So you'll see if I were to paint and have the diffuse selected on one part of my model and the wings, so the body has the diffuse selected, and here you can see the specular is highlighted, it would paint opposing material type or texture types. So make sure we set them both to diffuse, And now it's just a matter of painting right there in 3D. You can see it will seamlessly paint over seams. That sounds dumb, but it's true. So we can scoot right across lines, separated UV seams, breaks between two different materials. And the difference here between this and, say, body paint or a couple of other popular programs is that it doesn't require you to go into a projection mode. It doesn't require you to stop and render it down when you move. You can see I can just paint across seams. It will switch materials for you as you paint in one stroke, and you can care a lot less about the interaction between your models. In body paint, you'd have to go and select a separate material. This one, basically, you just make a stroke, and you can see I can go right across from the body to the tail, or from the wing to the torso. Actually, you can stroke all the way across the model, so you can go from one end to another without actually interacting with the model the whole time, just crossing sizes. And the brush size never changes. It's not texel related. It's just straight up screen space painting. You can see, go right across the model. My brush size never changed. Super, super, super handy. So we can paint any of the channels as long as we select them appropriately. We have the diffuse we can select. You can toggle between diffuse lighting only and full lighting with Shift L. And so I can work on my specular color where I so inclined. Paint a little, in this case I'm going to paint just the horns a little bit different color. You can see how this can be pretty handy with some nice selections and paint. It does support Photoshop layer modes, so it'll look real nice. Here you can see I'm painting my specular map now. And painting specular is something that I haven't actually been able to do until Mudbox added it. Body paint, I kind of just learned to understand what spec would do. In this case, I'm actually getting a real-time version of what my spec looks like with full color. So when I made that pink there, we've added an entire new realm to our painting. Being able to interact with normals, diffuse, spec, all of these things together means that I make better decisions about how my character will look in the end without, the years of experience staring at it and tweaking, going back to Photoshop and tweaking a little more. So we can scoot through and add this pink into our diffuse. No, so that's that. I mean, Photoshop be damned. Painting in 3D is where it's at. When you have a nice sculpt, you want to work with some nice 3D paint. This is just one of the few reasons that I use Mudbox to paint pretty much exclusively. Maybe I'll get into a little bit more detail with that in the near future, but yeah, here's the Mudbox and switching materials. So, it's Joe Pickup from SoMuchMonsters.com. Thanks for watching.